Here's what we're working on for Fox 59 News Live at 5.
A real wintry scene and now feel as the temperatures continue to drop sharply. Arctic air has arrived. Coldest air of the season, coldest air in almost a year. I'll let you know where we're going to bottom out coming up.
And gone, but certainly not forgotten. A community remembers these two girls on the day of their disappearance 3 years ago as police continue to search for answers.
If somebody's living in fear out there because they know who this guy is, I hope that they'll trust us and tell us.
Tonight we'll go live to Delphi, where community members are marking this very somber day.
And the fight against fraud. Officials at two virtual schools now accused of receiving $68 million from the state by inflating enrollment numbers. How they reportedly funneled that money into their own accounts.
And profit problems. Indigo admits to issues with ridership and costs for the Red Line. Tonight, how this confession could impact plans for yet another rapid transit line. Now, live at 5.
From Indiana's #1 news source, this is Fox 59 Live at 5.
Right now, live at 5, from rain and snow to Arctic cold, Mother Nature is throwing another curveball our way tonight.
Yeah, temperatures are falling and falling fast this evening. You can probably feel it if you step outside, and we do want to make sure you are prepared.
Cold out there. Our forecast is the top story tonight at 5. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dan Spieler.
And I'm Fanchon Stinger. Let's get you right over to the Weather Authority. So, Brian, how cold are we talking?
Well, the coldest weather of the year is arriving, and what's pretty interesting is, remember the good old days when we had nearly 70-degree warmth in February? To date, it is the warmest winter we've had here since 2002. At some point, Mother Nature likes to make good on all of that mild air, and for the first time since last March, our temperature is going to go below 5 degrees in many locations. In fact, some locations have been below 0 this season. That was back in the middle of November. This is some incredibly cold air, and it's just been lacking all season long. We just have not had this kind of a weather pattern where Arctic air is actually shot right into the eastern half of the nation. We're getting that tonight. The temperatures continue to drop. Much more of a wintry look and feel around central Indiana. Some snow on the ground in Hendricks County, out in Avon, a few snow flurries, even a light mist, a freezing mist developing as the colder air hits. It's 19 at our studios. As we expand the view, you can see the colder temperatures off to the north and west. Connorsville is at 25, still 26 in Columbus, 25 in Bedford. Not much snow on the ground there, but they're getting into the cold right now as the temperature in Bloomington, Shelbyville, trailing much colder than it was 24 hours ago, much colder than it was at lunchtime. And when you factor in that northwest wind at 18 miles per hour, our wind chill is only 5 above. We've got some frigid weather arriving in central Indiana tonight. The temperatures are going to drop to the coldest of the season, but a strong warm-up is in the works. This is not long-lived. Plus the all-important Valentine's Day evening forecast. Where are you headed with your sweetheart? I'll let you know if it's going to warm up coming up.
All right, thank you so much, Brian. Dozens of groups across the Circle City are working hard to make sure everyone stays safe in this frigid cold. Street Outreach Animal Response spent the day working hard, helping the homeless and their pets by providing them with warm clothes and blankets during these winter months. Executive Director Angela Hobson knows many other owners would rather sleep in the cold, would rather not have their pets out in the cold this time of year.
Humans love their pets, and for many people that's the most positive relationship that they have in their lives, and so they're not willing to give up their pet just for their own safety.
The group is already committed to keeping 9 dogs tonight, and they expect to have more after making another round today. So if you or someone you know is looking for a warm place tonight, we have a list of resources on our website, FOX59.com.
And don't forget, in some counties it is law to bring your dogs in once it hits these frigid temperatures. Well, a major development in the case of 2 online charter schools accused of inflating enrollment numbers.
That's right. An investigation found the schools received nearly $70 million they should not have received, and that the money was funneled then to executives. Ray Cortopassi joins us now in the newsroom to explain what all of this means. Ray, what are we finding out here?
Well, Dan, Fanchon, schools, keep in mind, get money from the state based on the number of students that it serves. So as the 47-page report lays out, when Indiana Virtual School and Virtual Pathways Academy added thousands more students to their total there, it resulted in millions more tuition in support and grants. The State Board of Accounts found that money was then paid to vendor companies owned by the same school executives who inflated the enrollment numbers. So here's how that breaks down. Over an 8-year period, the schools counted more than 14,000 students who were actually not actively enrolled there. Some were students who had withdrawn. Others just asked for information about the school but didn't actually attend. And get this, for 2 years, a student who had actually died was included in the counts. So the inflated numbers resulted in the schools getting an additional $70 million. So what happened with that money? Well, this report lists $85 million in inappropriate payments went to 23 vendor companies owned by school executives or by their relatives. And in many cases, there were no invoices to speak of. Keep in mind, we're talking about taxpayer money here. So even students that had no connection to the schools, families pay for this because it's taxpayer dollars. As for the schools, they ceased operations last year after their charter status was revoked, guys.
All right, those are certainly troubling allegations there, Ray. What happens next here and who might be held accountable?
Well, for starters, the state wants the school executives involved to repay the $85 million paid to their vendor companies. And the State Board of Accounts sent its report to the state and federal law enforcement because it believes those involved actually broke the law. So we could be seeing criminal charges down the line. Dan Fanchen?
Okay, Ray Cortopassi in the newsroom. Ray, thanks so much. Well, happening right now, it has been 3 years since Abby Williams and Libby German disappeared in Delphi.
You may remember just a day later, police found their bodies. Tonight, these sketches are still being sent out to the public. The killer is still out there.
Fox 59's Kelly Rinke has been digging into the investigation today to find out where things stand as of now. She is live in Delphi tonight, where, Kelly, we understand it's been an emotional and difficult day. How are the families remembering these two precious girls?
Oh, absolutely. They are just remembering that these girls are not forgotten. Faded posters of those two girls, as well as the two sketches of their killer, are still up in the windows of businesses here in downtown Delphi. This is a very difficult day for this community and investigators who are not losing hope that the killer will be caught.
It's every town USA, and those things don't happen in every town USA, but it happened in Delphi, Indiana.
Abby Williams and her best friend Libby German disappeared on this day 3 years ago. The girls went hiking on the Delphi historic trails and never came home.
Is today the day that one tip's going to pop in on an email someplace and going to change the course of the investigation? I certainly hope so.
3 years later, Indiana State Police's Superintendent Doug Carter explains investigators are still looking for that one good tip out of the roughly 50,000 that have poured in so far.
Why Libby? Why Abby?
The girls were found the next day, on Valentine's Day, just a half-mile from the High Bridge. More than a week later, State Police released the first clues about the girls' killer. An audio clip of his voice, even his picture, both found on Libby's cell phone.
Right.
People ask, how has this case not been solved in 3 years? So how do you respond to people who have that
I ask myself the same question. Every night, same question.
We saw the first police sketch 5 months after the murders, and last April, State Police provided a new sketch of the killer. A source tells us someone drew the second one just days after the girls died.
But what would have changed in the investigation for your department to say we now need to release this sketch that we've had?
Information from tips. That's all I can say.
And when it comes to sketches, Superintendent Carter urges people to pay attention to both.
A sketch is not a photograph. It's something that a person remembers about what they saw. And I believe that when we identify who this person is, and we will, that we'll be able to take those two sketches and fold them over each other and put them on the individual's face.
Studying the minds of criminals is kind of what I'm more excited to learn about.
In the meantime, the family is just waiting for word that someone has been arrested. Since the murders, Libby's sister Kelsey has started studying forensic psychology at Purdue. She wants to solve crimes just like her sister's murder.
Everything that I've went through, I kind of am able to use that to help others, and I I would rather use what I have gone through in a good way than to use it in a bad way, I guess.
Kelsey is not giving up hope that Libby and Abby's murders will be solved.
I definitely think we're going to get an arrest, and hopefully it'll be soon.
A desire for closure felt by so many in this town.
And if somebody's living in fear out there because they know who this guy is, I hope that they'll trust us and tell us.
And Superintendent Carter tells me that he still believes that their killer has some sort of connection to Delphi. He also says that Indiana State Police, as of right now, does not plan to release any new details about this case. Reporting live in Delphi tonight, I'm Kelly Rinke, Fox 59 News.
Kelly, thank you. In the meantime, our hearts going out to that family, praying for justice for that family and so many others. We are also continuing to put the word out from police and investigators. If you know anything about these murders, please do the right thing. You can submit a tip to the number on your screen, that number 844-459-5786.
Somebody's got to know something. All right. Indigo is now admitting to some of the problems that have plagued the new red line.
Yeah, for more than 3 years, we've told you about the struggles to launch the revolutionary electric bus route in Indianapolis.
Fox 59's Russ McQuaid was there when city-county councilors asked questions about the sluggish start.
He joins us live now with more of those answers. So, Russ, what'd you find out?
Well, good afternoon. We're outside the Community Alliance for the Far East Side up here at 38th and Post Road. This will be right along the route where the Purple Line will begin running, at least in about 2 years. Tonight there's going to be a community meeting in here about the Purple Line, and Indigo officials are ready to admit they learned a lot of mistakes with the Red Line that they hope not to repeat in this new project. During a meeting of the City County Council's Municipal Corporations Committee, Republican Michael Paul Hart asked Indigo President and CEO Inez Evans a simple question that received a complicated answer.
Are you satisfied with those buses?
Wow. Yes and no.
Hart was asking about the 31 revolutionary Chinese-built BYD electric buses that are running up and down the Red Line at a cost of $1.2 million apiece.
As we know, the BYD buses that we purchased during we have 31 of those buses. The range that was originally predicted or requested in the RFP, the request for proposal, for a range of 275 miles, the buses have not been able to achieve that.
And the transit system says it's now figured out that new buses will need an auxiliary diesel-burning generator to keep riders warm in the winter. Councilors complain that those new bus stations all along the Red Line route aren't being cleaned regularly and have graffiti painted on them. Indigo now admits it has no way to monitor the heating of the stops, that the on-time signage boards don't work, and it's finally gotten its ticket printing kiosks to accept dollar bills instead of just credit cards.
I too have seen the stations, and they are not up to the standard that I care to support.
Red Line ridership peaked the first month it was free in September with an average of about 8,200 riders a day. That number dropped by the thousands to a low of 4,100 riders per day in December.
I can't imagine that you're hitting the goal of 11,000 riders a day.
The 11,000 riders per day was a combination of the Red Line plus the grid network redesign being put in place. But overall, the ridership for the system is up 5%.
And there will be a community meeting here tonight that will explain how the mistakes learned from the Red Line will hopefully not be repeated for the Purple Line once it is broken ground next year. On the northeast side, Russ McQuaid, Fox 59 News.
All right, Russ, thank you so much. Tonight's Purple Line meeting continues until 7:30. It is being held at the Community Alliance.
All right, police are ramping up the search for a car theft suspect.
Coming up next, where detectives found that car and the picture they want you to see.
Plus, a stern response, a presidential candidate answering the concerning comments he made 5 years ago about stop and frisk.
I apologized for the practice and the pain that it caused.
Why he feels his actions now speak louder than his words from the past. Next.